Alright, so let's get going, and we're going to, let's go ahead with the distributed switch and topic, and then we'll end then vSphere 7 related changes, what are the changes there, and possibly the installation of vSphere 7 as well. So okay, distributed switch, what is that? This is the grandpa of this standard switch. Grandpa. So don't say that in the interview, obviously, that if the interviewer asks, so can you tell me the details of virtual standard switch, and you say virtual standard switch is in every hypervisor, while distributed switch is the grandpa of all virtual standard switch. So that interviewer will show you the door. Hey, grandpa is actually waiting outside. Ha. Well, so just kidding for all this. Okay, had to go urgently. Oh, okay, sure. No problemo. So let us now, what is distributed switch? Let me just create that diagram for you. The distributed switch would be, I'll just put one note, and that has been our favorite diagram. So guys, on excuse me, those who are added to LinkedIn, you may have seen that from a previous course, I guess. Hey, is there a Sandeep here? No, right? It's from the previous course, and he just passed the VCP exam, professional exam, and he was just thanking moi on the LinkedIn. But the thing is that they have passed the exam. It was all his effort. So, but people are passing the VMware exam, and it's all about lots of prep there. So let's talk about the switch. So distributed switch is distributed switch. Now distributed switch is first of all deployed. It's all about policies, right? So networking policies. So centrally we can say, oh, I'm clicking here. Oh, okay. So so centrally managing networking policies. So this is then done by the distributed switch, right? So we centrally manage the distributed switch, and then we go for networking policies there. And how do they implement? So distributed switch gets installed. So now what about the standard switch? We do realize or understand or remember actually that since we talked about the standard switch already, standard switch is in every hypervisor, right? So standard switch VSS, or virtual standard switch, is in every hypervisor. So but suppose now there are two hypervisors we had. Suppose you had 200 hypervisors in a big company, so it would be not that easy to manage all those virtual standard switch related tasks. If I give an example that there are 200 hypervisors, this is E6i2, E6i1, E6i2, 3, 4, 5, up to E6i 200. So maybe you have 5,000 virtual machines or 10,000 virtual machines there, right? So if you have that many hypervisors or E6i hosts there, then suppose the boss says, hey, can you create port group there in every standard switch, an extra port group. So now that's 200 ES6i hypervisors where you need to create a port group there. So you would connect to the first hypervisor, create a port group, second hypervisor, create a port group, third hypervisor, create a port group, and you go on you go on until you have those port groups there that are going to just keep on. Oops, just a sec, guys. So there will be 200 of those port groups there that you would want to then create. Now, if you connect to one hypervisor and create a port group properly, so it may take like what? It may take a lot of time, right? So that's why there is that distributed port group that is going to help you in doing that. So what am I talking about? 200. So you connect to one hypervisor, second hypervisor, third hypervisor, fourth hypervisor, until you reach the 200th hypervisor, and then you connect the distributed or port. You create port groups there. So that might take maybe 1-2 hours, right? Maybe 1 hour, 1.5 hours. So how about you want to do that? Just create another port group in a few seconds or a minute, right? So that's what the distributed switch does by deploying networking policies on pretty much all the hypervisors. So distributed switch does that. So centrally managed networking policies, obviously it's a distributed what? It's a distributed switch. So obviously it's all about networking. So if you want to centrally manage the networking policies, then you deploy a distributed switch.
Amir, and just
Yeah.
have a question. So, what is the difference in this case of the virtual switch that we discussed before and this one?
Yeah, so the virtual standard switch will be, first of all, it is one virtual standard switch is by default available with the hypervisor, right? So when you deploy one hypervisor, you get one virtual standard switch. This is only good for one hypervisor. Second hypervisor, its own one standard switch. We can create extra standard switches there as well if we want, but each hypervisor has its one standard switch by default created with, and that switch is only responsible for that particular hypervisor, while the distributed switch connects to all the hypervisors. Suppose we have two, right? Suppose we have 200 hypervisors here. It will connect to all the hypervisors, and you want to make some network related changes, network policy implementation. Then in that case you can make that change in 100 or 200 or 500 hypervisors in one go from a centrally managed distributed switch. So the main purpose of distributed switch is to make large scale changes and in networking, or on a bulk changes. We can also say bulk edit. Bulk means you make changes in multiple network resources at the same time. So that's the benefit. Instead of handling one by one standard switch here, one standard switch here, you just implement that policy from a central distributed switch. So the difference would be, centrally managing all the standard switches and networking of all the hypervisors, and centrally managing the networking of all the virtual machines as well. So if I just put that extra wording there, it manages the networking of all the hypervisors and all virtual machines. Obviously these are the two main resources that you distributed switch would be able to manage the networking of: the virtual machines networking and hypervisors networking, right? So Jiang says hard switch or soft switch. So this distributed switch gets installed in the vCenter, and definitely it is a soft switch, which means it's just a software. It's just part of the vCenter, and it is a soft switch. So it's not hard. There is nothing hard network card or other than the physical servers. Then everything else is all virtual. So virtual standard network cards, virtual switches, virtual distributed switch as well. Okay, so it is a soft switch, and I'm going to go for that slide as well, and we can just read out some from there, and then we'll do the lab. Lab will take time, so I'll just go for the main points there, so we could understand clearly what is distributed switch. So vSphere distributed switch acts as a single virtual switch across all associated hosts. What are hosts? ESXi hosts, right? So this allows virtual machines to maintain consistent network configuration as they migrate across hosts. If suppose there were 10,000 virtual machines, and you want to change the networking of those virtual machines. Suppose there is a port group, sales port group, all 10,000 virtual machines are connected to. And the boss says that, hey, why don't you just connect the virtual machines to marketing port group, right? So there are virtual machines here, right? And they have network cards, and they are all connected to the port group here, PG. And that port group is sales port group, right? And this port group is connected to a virtual standard switch, right? But you introduce another virtual standard switch. You create a second switch. Remember that we created so many switches, 3 switches there for 3 VM kernel adapters. So suppose this standard switch is connected to 2 network cards here, and those network cards are actually supporting 10 gigabits per second, while this standard switch is connected to network cards that is supporting 1 gigabit per second, right? So suppose this is much more speedier, obviously, with 10 Gbps. So the boss says, hey, can you connect all the virtual machines to 10 Gbps network cards instead of 1 Gbps network cards? Suppose that's a scenario, right? So in that case, you want to change the network cards of the virtual machines. And okay, so this is a sales PG, and when you introduce a new standard switch, this is suppose sales 1 PG. So suppose that's sales 1 port group, right? Port group. Now boss says, okay, we have introduced a new standard switch in all hypervisors, and that standard switch is connected to actually 10 gigabits per second network cards. So these are much faster network cards. So can you change all virtual machines which are connected to the port group that is connected to that is connected to a virtual standard switch that is connected to a slower network card? So can you change the port group? Suppose this port group is 1 and this port group is 2. So boss says, can you change all the 10,000 virtual machines port group from port group 1 to port group 2? And you're thinking, okay, sure, sir. So what you can do, if distributed switch is not there, you would connect to one hypervisor. Suppose these virtual machines are living in one hypervisor. Then there's another hypervisor, and we're talking about big environments, right? In small environments, you don't need distributed switch. So you have so many hypervisors. Each hypervisor has so many virtual machines there, maybe 10, 15 each, or 20, 30, 50 each virtual machines, right? So those are virtual machines. Now you need to disconnect these virtual machines from PG1 or port group 1, and you want to reconnect these all virtual machines to port group 2. So, well, we've done that manually as well. You connect to first hypervisor, you connect to first virtual machine, and go to edit settings, and then go to the network card, and then simply drop down and change the port group. So that's one virtual machine, then second virtual machine, third virtual machine. Suppose these are 5,000 or 10,000 virtual machines. So good luck doing that in 1 day or 2 days or 3 days. So suppose these are, this is a very big environment, and you have 10,000 virtual machines whose port group you want to change. And if you do it manually, it's going to take a long time, right? So if the distributed switch was there, then it's one wizard that takes 1 or 2 minutes to configure the networking. So with distributed switch, or VDS, virtual distributed switch, the networking of all 10,000 virtual machines can be changed from one port group to another port group in one wizard only. You start a wizard, next, click, select the right options, and in one wizard, all 10,000 virtual machines networking can be changed from one port group to another. So that's what we need to understand that. But first of all, what is the purpose of VDS? Large scale network policy implementation. So if your company is a very big company, obviously then virtual distributed switch or distributed switch is useful. If your company, suppose, is a small company, then no, you don't need a distributed switch for that. Then you can just connect to one hypervisor or two hypervisors or 10 hypervisors and just manually configure the virtual standard switches there. But if it's a large company and you have a lot of hypervisors and thousands of virtual machines, then you really need virtual distributed switch to change the networking of all virtual machines in one go at very small amount of time, right? So that's the main purpose of the distributed switch. I'll go for print screen here. Oh, did I unpin that? Into taskbar again and paint and okay, so that's the distributed switch diagram that hardly comes here. Oh wow, okay. Okay, what I'm doing, I'm just taking that screenshot and putting it there. And okay, so let's continue here and talk about the distributed switch. Virtual machines to maintain consistent network configuration as they migrate across hosts. So if you want to make some virtual machine consistent network configurations, then you will need distributed switch. Remember again, if it's thousands of virtual machines, then you need that distributed switch. If it's few virtual machines, then you don't need distributed switch. So like a virtual switch, a distributed virtual switch is a network hub for virtual machines. So that's just like, it works like virtual standard switch, but it has a lot of advanced features as well. A vSphere distributed switch can route traffic internally between virtual machines or link to an external network. So, well, the thing is that distributed switch works the same way as standard switch works in terms of data flow. But what are the extra advanced features it offers that needs to be explored separately? So, if we go ahead, so there's that distributed switch. VDS, virtual distributed switch, acts as a single virtual switch centrally managed across all hosts through vCenter. VDS offers reduction in management and complexity. Obviously, if it's a large scale management you want to do, so you want to do it from some central location and with a central dashboard provided for the networking. So VDS is also known as DV switch, so distributed virtual switch or virtual distributed switch, however you want to say that. So DV switch and has DV port groups and DV ports. So just like virtual standard switch has a port group and VM kernel adapter or VM kernel port, so distributed port group will have distributed port group and distributed kernel adapter. So separation of data and control planes. So you can VMware also, or Cisco also offers a virtual switch as well. That's called Cisco Nexus 1000V. So that virtual switch from Cisco, it's an expensive license. Obviously, if you have Cisco and VMware partnership, then especially if you have Cisco partnership, then you can get that virtual switch to include in VMware. So Cisco Nexus 1000V, that distributed switch also supports this Cisco virtual switch as well, right? Only available in vSphere Enterprise Plus, but you must purchase the highest license here, that is Enterprise Plus. That's the most expensive license. So obviously big companies can afford that, small companies cannot afford that. And then there is total virtual network switch ports per host, VDS and VSS ports, 4096. This is just numbers here now. So total virtual network switch ports per host. One host can take 4096 ports. Maybe they're port groups, maybe they are distributed ports. Maximum active ports per host. So how many are active? 1000 at the same time can be active, another could be inactive as well. Static dynamic port groups per distributed switch is 10,000. So one distributed switch can take that many port groups connections. Ports per distributed switch 60,000. This also total port groups or ports that can take. So total ports mean what? One port group can have 128 virtual machines, right? And so this means there are 128 ports in one port group. So if distributed switch is connected to 1000 hypervisors, so each hypervisor has multiple port groups, so it goes up to thousands of ports there, right? So it just says that one distributed switch can go up to 60,000 ports. Distributed switches per vCenter. So if you have one vCenter, you can create 128 distributed switches, maybe for management purposes, because one distributed switch alone can handle a lot of complicated configuration. Why would you need two distributed switches? But yes, you can need suppose one for marketing department, one for sales department. Maybe you want separation of administration. In that case, you want to create more distributed switches. You will see that one distributed switch is quite enough to offer a very big environment, all the services. Distributed switches per host. Each host, one hypervisor can connect to total 16 distributed switches there. So these are some of the numbers there. If we go further ahead, recap what is a vSphere standard switch. We talked about vSphere standard switch. vSphere standard switch is one switch that gets installed automatically when you install a hypervisor ESXi host, right? So we already have discussed all that, so I'll just go ahead a little. What is distributed switch architecture? Networking with vSphere distributed switch is driven from the data center level. So first of all, you need to understand that if I go to the diagram, distributed switch can be only created inside vCenter, right? Standard switches are available inside ESXi host. Distributed switch is available only in vCenter, and that is also if you have Enterprise Plus license. Suppose you have just Enterprise license. Suppose you have Standard license. Suppose you have Essentials license. Then you can't have distributed switch. So this is for big environments, right? If I go back here, vSphere distributed switch exists as an object on the data center that acts as a virtual switch across all associated hosts, enabling virtual machines to keep consistent network configuration as they migrate across hosts. So, okay, so distributed switch connects to all virtual machines. Suppose you have a lot of virtual machines here, and it makes sure that every virtual machine has the same network configuration, which is called consistent configuration, right? So obviously when you're handling it centrally, so one type of network configuration is supposed to be implemented. And if you go further, uplinks connect the vSphere distributed switch to physical network adapters on associated hosts. Each host can connect to one physical network adapter to a vSphere distributed switch for each uplink port on the vSphere distributed switch. See, so simple. I'm sure you understood right away by reading it, right? Okay, let's go ahead. Okay, no. So yeah, now let's talk in English what they're saying. So uplinks connect the vSphere distributed switch to physical network adapters on associated hosts. What does that mean? Each host can connect one physical network adapter to a vSphere distributed switch for each uplink port. Okay, let's talk about it. That this particular statement or statements in a diagram. So suppose you have distributed switch, like hypervisor ESXi1, ESXi2, ESXi3, ESXi4, and so on. Obviously it's a big environment, then only we're talking about distributed switch. And there is a vCenter here. So the vCenter machine is this one. It's gonna get trickier from here now. So vCenter, here you deployed distributed switch, and here in every machine you already have what? A standard switch. Okay, standard switch, standard switch, standard switch, and so on. Standard switch, right? So first of all, how a standard switch, so I'm just gonna call it VSS. It is VSS actually. So it's virtual standard switch here, virtual standard switch here, virtual standard switch, and virtual standard switch, and okay. So how does basically a virtual standard switch in one hypervisor offers networking services? So, well, you have first a samosa-like shape here, and that is a network card, right? And network card, and suppose you have multiple network cards, right? So network cards here, network cards here. Hey, I have to recreate all the time. How about if I do this and grab it from here? Control C. Oh, nah, that doesn't look like clear, right? Okay. Anyway, nice try. So I'll just go here and network card, network card, network card, network card, or samosa 1, samosa 2, right? Samosa 1, samosa 2. Okay. So now these network cards, how they're connected? The standard switch connects to a physical NIC, right? And then standard switch, so to the standard switch, virtual machines are connected. Virtual machine NICs are connected. So these are VMs, right? VMs here, phi NIC. These are all physical NICs, right? Phi NIC. NICs. Wow. You know what? I should have created one machine with all this and then should have copied it. Okay, so these are phi NICs, and those are virtual standard switch. Now the virtual machines are connected to the virtual switch with their own virtual network card. So there's each machine has its own virtual network card as well, right? So from the virtual network card, virtual machines are connected to a virtual switch. Obviously, virtual machines connect to the port group directly, and so suppose they are connected to the port group now, and through the virtual standard switch, they are connected to the physical network, and through physical network, they are connected to the physical switches. So that's how. Well, this is a story that we've been talking about before as well. That all hypervisors are offering this service. Now remember that we also offer in our environment not only that the basic networking of virtual machine, we also offer vMotion service. Remember we did that? We also offer fault tolerant service, right? And we also offer, well, we did that in last lab, the vSAN, right? So we did that too. Now the standard switches are offering advanced features as well right now. vMotion, or migrating the virtual machine service, that is being offered by who? The virtual standard switch. Fault tolerance is being offered by who? By what? Virtual standard switch, and all other services. So suppose the boss says, okay, is it possible? I've heard a lot about distributed switches. I wanted you to configure a distributed switch in our environment here, and I want that the distributed switch from now on should do the vMotion service. It should handle the vMotion service from now on. And you know what? There was another service, management network. If I ask you what is the management network service doing, anyone knows that? There is another VM kernel adapter called management network. Anyone knows that? What does that? What is the purpose of this VM kernel adapter service? Oh, we've forgotten. Okay, that's a good idea. I mean, like, I got an idea that what I will put in the final exam, because everyone has forgotten what is management network VM kernel network adapter do, right? When I say do, it looks like Scooby-Dooby-Doo, right? So it's not that. Okay, so management network, what does it do? Anyone knows? Okay, so there is that answer that I was waiting for. Management, yes. What is Dooby-Doo? Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Okay, if you don't say that in the interview, right? They will also say Scooby-Dooby-Doo door. But here, yeah. Okay, anyone knows what FT does? That's an easy one, right? What does FT do? vMotion vSAN. No, management network does not do that. Okay, FT is fault tolerance, yes. So yeah, in case you forgot, and it's not in case you did forget, what is management network doing? So management network lets us remotely connect and manage. Oh man, why am I telling? Should have asked it in the final exam next week. Oh man. Okay, anyway, lets us remotely connect and manage ESXi hosts, right? So that is the purpose of the management network VM kernel adapter. vMotion, I'm sure you know, it's migration of virtual machines. FT fault tolerance, it's active passive virtual machines. If the active goes down, passive becomes active, right? Yeah, right, that's what I said. Sure. Okay, so here we have so what we're trying to say here about the distributed switch. How can this, we were talking about, hey, standard switch handles so much traffic here. Standard switch handles management network. Standard switch handles vMotion of the virtual machine. It handles fault tolerance and vSAN, right? And so many other things. So now once we add the distributed switch, so what happens basically is that the distributed switch says, thank you standard switch, how about I from now on handle your network configurations which you've been handling till now. So thank you very much virtual standard switch, we don't need you anymore, and from now on we're letting vMotion service be handled by distributed switch. We'll let management network service be handled by distributed switch. In fact, we can leave some of the services here as well. Suppose fault tolerance is still handled by virtual standard switch, while the other services can be handled by distributed switch. So distributed switch can do the same task that standard switch is doing, right? In fact, some of the tasks you can migrate to standard distributed switch, and some of the tasks you can keep here with the standard switch, and they can work together as well. Or you can just tell standard switch, okay, bye bye, have your big break, and let me handle the whole show from now on. Distributed switch can do both things, either work together with standard switch or only work as a only switch there in the whole environment. The distributed switch, it can do both things. What we're going to configure is, we're going to configure it as, we're going to leave the vMotion service here. We're going to move the management service from here. We're going to move this. This is very critical service. Management service is critical service. How it is critical? If something goes wrong, you can't connect from vCenter to the ESXi hosts, the hypervisors. You cannot connect if something goes wrong with this service. We're going to actually migrate this service away from virtual standard switch to distributed switch, right? And that's a sensitive task. Anything goes wrong, we lose connection to the hypervisors, right? Second thing is, we're going to keep the vMotion service here. Why? Can't we move that too? Yes, we can move, but okay. So we're going to keep the vMotion service here. Why? Because we want to prove that virtual standard switch actually can work together with distributed switch as well. Otherwise, if we can migrate this service to distributed switch, we can easily migrate this service as well to distributed switch. And we're going to keep fault tolerance also here. So again, the proof is that even how to migrate, you're going to know that, and how these two standard and distributed switches can work together, we're going to prove that too, right? So other than that, the networking of all virtual machines, that's the other thing that we're going to move away from standard switches to distributed switch. Networking, what is that? Oops. Networking of all VMs. What is that? Networking of all VMs? What does that mean? So these virtual machines were connecting to standard switch, right? Now we're going to tell the virtual machines that from now on, you will not be connecting to the standard switch. you will be connecting to the distributed switch onwards, right? So networking of virtual machines will be moved to distributed switch. Management of the management network service of the hypervisors will be moved to distributed switch, while vMotion service and fault tolerance service will remain with virtual standard switch. We can move them as well, yes, no problem, but we also need to prove that they can actually work together as well, right? So then the question arises that how does distributed switch actually work? Like, how is it connected to all the hypervisors so we could migrate the services from standard switch to distributed switch if we want to? So there is that, as the slide was also saying, there is a uplink. Oh, what's an uplink? So uplink 1, uplink 2. So what does it do? Uplink basically in a switch means, hey, anyone knows what does uplink in a Cisco switch means? Majority of you are Cisco gurus here. What does an uplink do in a switch? Anyone knows that? What does an uplink do in a switch? Exactly. Connect to other switches. Have one side connect to physical one. Yay. Okay, so uplink, yes, you can make connection to other switches. And what is then the purpose of this uplink here? So uplink 1 in a distributed switch will connect. So one uplink will connect to one network card of each hypervisor. So this uplink 1 will connect to one free network card of this hypervisor. That same uplink will connect to one free network card of this hypervisor, and that same uplink will connect to this network card, free network card of this hypervisor, and the story. Hopefully you get the point that one uplink connects to one free network card of any of the hypervisors. And why? Because it through this we can manage all the services. Okay, so there is, so we can have, okay guys, so kids are really making a lot of noise. Give me a second.
Guys, the uplink, we're gonna connect the physical NIC to the VMware or the physical NIC with a distributed switch? Which one?
Oh, you can repeat that question?
Oh, here. I was asking is the uplink is gonna connect the physical NIC with the distributed switch?
Yes.
Or the VMs on the like the ESXi with the distributed switch? Did you get what I mean? Like if you have 3 VMware on the server, the 3 will be connected with the same uplink or
Yes.
the physical?
So the virtual machines that were connected to the virtual standard switch, once the uplink 1 is connected to one free network card of each hypervisor, so the virtual machines network will actually be, obviously when we migrate, the networking will tell the virtual machines, hey, from now on you are not supposed to connect to this local standard virtual standard switch. You are supposed to connect to that network card to which the uplink 1 is also connected. And this is the way, through uplink 1, the distributed switch controls the networking of the virtual machines. So the virtual standard switch will not be able to offer the services and uplink 1 through its, obviously through its network card. There are network cards here. From there the connection goes, uplink 1 connection, and then it connects to the physical switch, and from the physical switch it connects to one free network card of each hypervisor. And when we migrate, when this networking of all VMs is migrated, it's done, then the virtual machines, virtual NICs will be connected directly to the port group or distribute port group, which will be offered by DistributedSwitch. So basically, they will be disconnected from the virtual standard switch port groups, and they will be connected through this physical adapter to the distributed port group of uplink 1. So it is kind of tricky, but what we essentially are doing here is that standard switch has nothing to do, after it is migration of the networking of all VMs is done, standard switch has nothing to do with the networking or offering the network to the local virtual machines of hypervisors, right? But you can repeat the question if that was not the answer.
No, I'm okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so this is what we were talking about. So uplink 1, and if we see that uplinks connect the vSphere distributed switch to physical network adapters on associated hosts. So that's the diagram saying that one uplink of distributed switch will connect to one free adapter. Second uplink can connect to second free adapter, network adapter, physical adapter of all hypervisors. Why second? Suppose through first uplink, distributed switch is sending policies. Hey, from now on, vMotion. Suppose the management network policy. There's some slight change there for all hypervisors. It is sending that policy. It is also handling through this one uplink the networking of virtual machines through this uplink. Whatever else. Suppose this uplink goes down. Then what? That was the only uplink you had. So that's why it's better to have two uplinks there, and the second connection will offer you redundancy. Either you can move and connect networking of all VMs, this service I'm going to show you, and then we will understand even better. But you can move and connect it to the uplink 1, this service, and you can move management network service and connect it to uplink 2. So from these two uplinks, but one uplink is just like a network card. Whatever distributed switch policies, whatever policies the distributed switch is distributing across all hosts through uplink 1, if uplink 1 is supposed down, then uplink 2 can also implement those policies, or they can be NIC teamed as well, just like in the network cards as well. So normally it is for redundancy, you will go for uplink 2. Suppose you have too much to do, you can go for uplink 3, uplink 4, but do you have that many free network adapters in each hypervisor that you want to go for uplink 3 and 4 as well? So each uplink connects to one free network card, physical network card of each hypervisor. That's how it makes communication with every hypervisor, and whatever service you want to migrate, then you can migrate and let the distributed switch handle those services, like whatever networking services you want to migrate, right? Okay. So if that is kinda clear, then if we go ahead, each host can connect one physical network adapter to a vSphere distributed switch for each uplink port on the vSphere distributed switch. So basically, one physical network adapter connects to one uplink port. That's what we were talking about, right? And it is, I need to add that, can connect one free. It cannot be connected to a standard switch. It has to be free. It should not be mapped to anything else. It should be just free. Nobody should be using it. And then the uplink of a distributed switch can connect to that physical adapter, right? Okay. So if we go further down, virtual machine NICs can connect to vSphere distributed switches through distributed port groups, and which aggregate multiple ports under a common configuration and provide a stable anchor point for virtual machine. So virtual machine NICs of virtual machine connect to vSphere distributed switches through distributed port groups. So these virtual machines will connect to distributed port groups instead of standard port groups. Okay, so but I'm going to show you when we're doing that. For now, we're just going through all the points, and it's like a group policies in Microsoft. So those who have already done Microsoft here, for within Active Directory, you can create group policies, connect to a container or OU, or on the domain level you can connect, and it will implement on all the virtual machines or all the users. So centrally you have hundreds of policies there to implement on all the users, right? So that's what DistributedSwitch is also doing. It is just offering centrally all the networking policies to either all the virtual machines, or basically it's for virtual machines or appliances that you would keep the networking policies consistent and deploy centrally on large scale, right? So if we go back here, what are those other policies that we're talking about? One policy or one feature, first among lots of features, is PVLANs. And maybe you've all heard about VLANs in Cisco. Anyone heard about Cisco PVLANs? Is PVLAN terminology in Cisco as well? Ever heard of that before? No. So in Cisco, you haven't heard about PVLANs, right? Oh, there's a yes. Zhang says yes. Safe says no. Maybe you were not. You were in different classes when in Cisco, right? So, okay. So, but maybe you've heard of it in somewhere else as well, right? So it maybe not in the class, but yes. So what are private VLANs or PVLANs? Well, they are VLANs of VLANs. So if we go ahead, I'm just going to create a quick diagram here, and that is. So there is that virtual switch, or there's a full switch here. Suppose there's a physical switch, and those that virtual switch has ports here, 2 ports here, and 2 ports here. I'm just going to go quick here. Actually, I'll go for 3 ports here, right, and 3 ports here. So this means 6 computers can connect, right? In a virtual switch, you know that 128 computers can connect. So there are 3 ports here, 3 ports there, and suppose you create now. Before VLAN was created, suppose there was no VLAN, and this is all VLAN 1. So they can communicate with you. Computers connected to this port, this port, this port can communicate with computers connected to this port, this port. Then you create a VLAN here, and VLAN suppose 2 you create here, and VLAN 3 you create here. Now if the VLAN numbers are different, the machines here now cannot communicate with machines there on VLAN 2, because while they are on the same physical switch, they cannot communicate. But what about if you want to further divide even that VLAN that has already divided the switch? Maybe it's a 32 port switch, right? Physical switch, and so you can further divide even this VLAN into VLAN 4 and 5 here, and suppose VLAN 6 and 7 here. So this would be, these computers here cannot communicate with these computers, and these computers here cannot communicate with these computers here, right? So this is just private VLAN, which is further segmenting the VLAN itself, right? So the distributed switch supports the private VLANs if you want to go for that kind of configuration. And if we go ahead, there is that NetFlow here, and NetFlow is a feature. NetFlow is a protocol that allows you to consolidate individual packets into flows to identify where the traffic is going, where the traffic exists, to determine the health of your system. So it is only available with distributed virtual switch. So you have a lot of traffic going on, right? NetFlow is a protocol that allows you to consolidate individual packets into flows to identify where the traffic is going. So into flows to identify the health of traffic, basically identify health of your traffic. So NetFlow will just check that how the flows are going, how port 25 traffic, which is email traffic, port 80 traffic, HTTP traffic, port 443, HTTPS traffic, right? So all those types of traffic, how they're going over the network, and is there any packet drop, do they slow down during peak hours? How much slowdown is, how much packet collision, if there is any happening. So NetFlow just goes for the health of your network flow. So other than that, there is LLDP, and now this I'm sure you've heard in Cisco. Actually, it is about Cisco, from Cisco. So link layer discovery protocol. So LLDP, or link layer discovery protocol. So basic purpose of that is, now suppose you have a physical environment here, physical switches, right? Switches, and you have there on the other side virtual switches. So virtual switch. So suppose they are inside, obviously it's a physical server, and then you have hypervisor here, HYP, and then on top of that virtual switch, and through network card they're connected. So the network card goes to the physical switch. Now physical switch can try to know through discovery protocol that what is the inside networking going on, how many VSSs you have, how many virtual switches you have, how many virtual port groups are there, how many virtual machines are connected to which virtual switch, virtual standard switch. So if you want the physical switches outside, need to know how the inside network topology is, how many virtual standard switches are there, how they're connected, and how the network flow is going on, then you can actually configure link layer discovery protocol, so the physical environment can discover or how the topology of the virtual environment. So then it would know that, okay, how that's many switches are there, and it can just keep it in a table that, okay, that many ports are there. So this is LLDP here. It supports DistributedSwitch, supports also LLDP. And then there is network IO control here as well. So network IO control is that one type of traffic needn't necessarily overwhelm the other types of traffic. That's the main purpose of network IO control. So it could come in your final exam, whatever features we're discussing here. But thing is that, what does that mean anyway? One type of traffic needed necessarily overwhelm. So what is, yes, quality of service like QoS. Now what happens is that if there are a lot of virtual machines here, and those virtual machines, suppose this virtual machine has a messaging application called Exchange Server. This virtual machine has a HTTP traffic for intranet. Maybe this application, this virtual machine has 1433 traffic. Anyone knows what's 1433 traffic? I think I asked that before as well. Anyone knows what's the 1433 traffic? It's email, right? 1433 is email or SSH, right? By this time I would have googled it. So for cloud, hey, in AWS, didn't you talk about SQL? Yes, there you go. 1433 is database, SQL server, right? So suppose there are these three applications in these three virtual machines. In that case, now these are all connected to a VSS here, right? Virtual standard switch, and the VSS is connected to a network, physical network card here, and through that the traffic is going on. So the network IO control will try to check that. Suppose port 25 traffic, that's a lot of inbound, outbound email through this messaging or exchange application is going, and then intranet traffic is going. But the database traffic is really taking the, suppose 70% or 80% of the bandwidth during the peak times, right? 80% of bandwidth. So that should not be a very good idea that it's taking the 80% of the bandwidth, while others, emails, now email is a backbone of a company, right? Without the correspondence, companies could lose a lot of business. So if emails are not getting enough bandwidth, can drop packets, and you either end up having emails reaching after 2 hours or 3 hours instead of seconds, or never reaching at all. So in that case, network IO control tries to check that which one type of traffic is that it does not overwhelm all other type of traffic, right? So this is the purpose of network IO control. And then there is LACP. LACP. And what does LACP do? Link Aggregation Control Protocol. So how come that is not written here? Link Aggregation Control. Is that so? Control Protocol? Protocol. Control Protocol. Link Aggregation Control Protocol, right? Or Connection Protocol. Oh man, why did I not put a abbreviation here? So, well, I'll ask the Google University here. LACP stands for what I just said. It stands for Link Aggregation. Seriously? Oh, it's not written here as well. Anyway, Link Aggregation Control Protocol, right? Link Aggregation Control Protocol. So now what does it do? So Link Aggregation Control Protocol is that it combines multiple links and uses its combined bandwidth to send traffic more with faster speeds. So starts at the physical networking side, but allows you to bond together multiple network cards for the support of load balancing. The biggest difference here with LACP is that there are some additional configurations that are required. So they're saying that if you want to support LACP, you should know how to configure the LACP in a Cisco switch, and then how to configure it here in virtual environment. So obviously you should know on both sides how to configure LACP for it to port channel. So the thing is that, well, first of all, DistributedSwitch supports LACP, but you need to know Cisco side of configuration of LACP as well if you want to implement that in your VMware environment. And then there is backup and recovery, so you can just take a backup of the whole distributed switch. Now, distributed switch is not a physical switch, right? So it's just a software. So if it's a software, then you can take a backup of the configuration of distributed switch, and you can restore it as well, obviously. And then there is port mirroring. So port mirroring is that you can so it's can be useful to sniff the individual packets that are going in and out of a virtual machine, and so being able to split those packets and mirror those packets to some other port, to some sort of network sniffer, right? Anyone knows a good network sniffer in the environment? What kind of network sniffer is normally used or is famous among security admins and network admins and system admins, IT admins, admin admins? So anyone knows a network sniffer, name of a network sniffer? Wireshark, exactly. So this network sniffer, so you can just mirror or duplicate the packets going out or going inside a virtual machine, and the duplicated packet can go to a network sniffer, to check the health or to just simply check the data, basically for the health of the whole network. And suppose the packets were dropped, or suppose the virtual machine network card went rogue, or it's just creating a lot of traffic there. So in that case, or packets are dropping too much there, and the traffic or the whole data is not reaching on the other side. So you can just port mirroring just copies packets that are going incoming or outbound packets from virtual machines, and each packet's copy one packet. The first copy goes to where it was destined to go, and the second copy goes to the network sniffer, so you can sniff or check out or diagnose what's going on with this virtual machine's traffic. Pretty much you're spying on that. Oh, okay, so let's not call it spying. Anyway, or to hack the system. Oh, there you go. So so yes, this is for diagnostic purposes, but if you have done ethical hacking, then we should just stay ethical after learning ethical hacking. So after that, obviously, when you're too powerful, you're too knowledgeable, then we can have, we can become the wrong hands as well. Okay, so guys, we understand that these are all the distributed switch features, and they come obviously after you spend a lot of money. Then they come. So then comes the
Here,
last.
just
Yeah.
a question.
Yeah.
Regarding this port mirroring, are you storing it somewhere? Like, as far as I understand, when we said there is a management, right? The net management network, and when you, sorry, not the management network.
The packets are stored in
The,
Sniffer. Yeah.
the net flow, I'm not sure. What was the name was centralized? The distributed switch, which is centralized everything.
Yeah.
But here, when you move the like the port mirroring, are you have like inside it? Do you have a tool like the SIEM, like store the logs so that you can troubleshoot quickly, or give you a chart to see the health of the system at all on the VMware, or I have to go one by one?
No, well, the thing is that yes, as you said, the log files, definitely the log files are always created. Not only that, it is catching the packets there by actually directly connecting to the software, the vSphere software. But you can just create log files. You can see it that way, or you can just simply catch the traffic over the network like the sniffer does, and you can just redirect the sniffer to, hey, whatever traffic is coming out of this IP address, which is of IP address of a virtual machine, and it's just gonna grab that traffic in its own log files, or it can be created separately in a log files, and you can grab the log files and simply monitor it. So both ways are doable in this.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Cool. Alright guys, here let's go ahead and lab. So there's lab steps here, and let's get rid of all other switches and keep the first original switch in each ESXi host. Okay, we can't do that. Why? We have vMotion configured now, we have fault tolerance configured now, and we created as a vendor best practice, we configured those standard switches for one specific feature, right? And 2 extra network cards. So let's so yeah, the first point we can ignore that, and second thing, let's add 2 physical NICs to each host. Well, actually we should have remaining some of the physical NICs there, and well, we're gonna check it out when we are configuring it. Let's move our ESXi host to any one data center. I think we did that already because we had to move the, remember that we have 2 data centers. One data center has E6I2 had E6I2, and the other data center had E6I1. So then we had to move the E6I2 to the Toronto data center. So that is also done, that we have both hypervisors under one data center. Other than that, we need to create a distributed switch. So pretty much the rest of the stuff is done. Hopefully we have remaining free network cards still available, because we need at least 2. Okay, let's create a distributed switch, and let's create a distributed port group called distributed port group virtual machine. So we're coming down to this because the rest of the configurations are okay. Now I need to check my network if it is even up, and then we get this started and working on it. Okay, so I'm just gonna click that get updates, and as usual I'll do the wrong thing, which is not to update. And other than that, I'm in a Tor cluster here. So for configuring vSAN, remember last time we configured vSAN, so I had to turn off the HA. Since I'm back here, so I'm in Tor cluster here, and then I'm in configure here, and I'll just take it down here so I can see the whole thing. Store cluster. Oh, okay. Since I unsuspended the machine, so it's asking me to log out, log in. So I'll just log out, log in. Okay, it did not kick me out, or it's thinking of kicking me out, or it hasn't made up its mind. Okay, 500. Woohoo! That's not good. I'll refresh that. So what was the RAM I gave to server 2 for the vSAN lab? Ouch, 8 GB. Okay, so guys, we're not gonna need all 3 hypervisors. And second thing is, this hypervisor has 6 GB RAM. We don't need it. We can take it down to 4 GB RAM. E6i1, E6i2 also 6 GB. We can take it down to 4 GB. E6i3 we don't need that at all, so I'm just gonna close that. So we need to change the RAM, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut down E6i1, E6i2, which seems to be already shut down. I need to change their RAM to 4 GB back, and I'll have to shut down the vCenter. Why? Because I'll give it again 12 GB, right? Or 10 GB, however your RAM supports. I'll go for 12 GB here.
I'm sorry, are we going back to vSAN or we're done with it?
Yeah, we're done with vSAN.
Okay, so because the last time I think we just installed it, but we didn't go through.
Oh, we did not.
I don't think so.
Oh, I totally forgot that. Oh, hey, I just started a new topic for last 1 hour. So okay, let me just drag this on the other side, and so we did half of vSAN. Ouch, that's not good. So on the other side, I'm opening. I'll pause. Oops, I was not. Resuming now, and I'm just logging into the vCenter. I click the get updates. Hopefully everyone else is already connected to the vCenter. Well, not everyone, I guess. Okay, so there's a name coming. Oh, Edis. So Edis, if you're not seeing that, then just put that error there on the document and take the screenshots of my screen. But do try to fix it. But if it's not, then I understand. Just put that error in today's document. Okay, I'll try to log in now. Oh, it's connecting to UI. Serious. Okay, I'll go for the next one. I'm sure I connected with the vSphere client. Okay, so I'll go for vSphere client as well. And there's our favorite message, Adobe Flash Player. I'll go for not secure. I'll click the allow and click here, reload, and alright. Okay, it's still loading. So it is. And I'll be starting in another college, the 7.0 based VMware lab. So do remind me to add you there as well if you also remember that, because I have a very bad memory. Okay, guys. So I'm logged into the vCenter here, and the Tor cluster configure, and I'll go for this HA here, vSphere availability, and click the edit button, right? And I'll turn on both HAs here that we turned off before. Remember that we turned off the HA, so I'm just going to turn them on, and but as okay. So there are some errors coming here that unable to communicate. It's the vSAN that we configured, that's why. And also it's saying that all my machines are disconnected, so I'll just check that if my ESXi or the server 1, which is showing. Yes, we can disable vSAN as well, you're right. So guys, I have enabled actually HA, but let's go to general. So Tor cluster configure and general here, right? And Tor cluster configure general, and so vSAN is not showing up here, because if we want to turn it on, we need to turn off HA. If we need to turn it off, we need to turn off HA as well. So since I turned on the HA here, or vSphere availability, so vSAN features are not showing, I guess I'm gonna go for vSphere availability. I just turned it on, I'm gonna turn it off now, right? Why? Because I need to turn off the vSAN, so that was a very good suggestion from Saf. Okay, so here the vSphere availability, I'm gonna go back there and I'm gonna turn it off. Why? To turn off the vSAN, right? Okay, although if vSAN is, yeah, vSAN, if it is on, it cannot be on. Why? Because we don't have 3 hypervisors there, right? So that's why, yes, there's no benefit of vSAN now, because it requires minimum 3 hypervisors. I'll just turn off the HA to turn off the vSAN. So I'm just going to press yes here. It's going to spill out some more errors here. I'll just make the screen full screen here. Okay. Now I'll try to go for vSAN, under the vSAN IC general, right? So then on the right side there's a edit here. Okay. I'm gonna go to edit, and I'm gonna turn off or uncheck V and SAN. Okay, there's no V and SAN, it's just vSAN. We'll just press OK here. Turn off vSphere HA to turn off vSAN. Hey, I did that. Trust me. Okay, it chose not to trust me. So if I go back to availability, I think I need to refresh it a couple of million times, so vSAN could trust me that I did turn off vSphere availability. Okay, I'll go for the browser level refresh here as well. So in order to convince the vSAN that I've turned it off, so please let me turn vSAN off as well. Wow. I should not try to go faster. Whenever I tried it, always then it takes even longer. I'm gonna try to slow down now, so it could go faster. vSphere availability, and yes, it is off. I'll just go to the vSAN and general here. It's downloading patch definitions, because the update manager was there, right? Okay, I'll go to general, and it says no, I don't think the availability is turned off. I think DRS, I'll just go for DRS and turn it off, although DRS has nothing to do with vSAN in terms of vSAN turning on and off. It's all availability here, but desperate measures, I'll just click edit button for DRS and turn it off as well. So we're shocking the cluster here that, what am I doing? I'm turning off HA, I'm turning off DRS. Am I kidding me? Okay, then I go to vSAN. Now it says, yeah, now I accept that you've turned off these 2 troublemakers. Actually, they are our job saviors. Okay, give it minutes. Okay, so I'll and fresh. So it's refreshing. Oh, really? What did I refresh? Okay, there you go. So I'm gonna go for edit now and turn it off. Press OK, and OK. Those who are alone at home, so don't look back. But there's a, oh, just kidding. Okay, don't be scared. Anyway, so here, general, and it is. Okay, I need to refresh so the status could change as well. And wait until it is off. Really? Now why I'm waiting for it to, oh yeah, there you go, it's off now. So now I can go ahead and turn on those two guys, the vSphere DRS and availability, because vSAN is off now. And why did we turn it off? Because we don't have 3 hypervisors, we just have 2 hypervisors. We're moving on for the next lab, that's why. So I'll go for availability and edit and turn these 2 guys on. In fact, I can't turn those 2 guys on if I don't turn on DRS. So I have opened this window, and here I'll first go to the DRS and turn it on. Then I'll go to availability and turn on, right? So availability on, DRS on, right? And I'll press O and K. I hope you have downloaded, some of you have downloaded the 7.0. I gave that link there, right? So hopefully you've downloaded the hypervisor 7.0 and the vCenter 7.0. Alright, so it's on, and still I see that the VM01, so they're all showing disconnected. Why? Because they don't have the storage connected right now. So I'm going to go to ESXi1 here, this guy, which is already showing errors, and I'm going to go to the storage adapters here, ESXi1, storage adapters, and I want to actually scan the adapters. Scan the adapters. That's it. So I can't because there's some issue here. Summary. If I go to summary here, 6i1, vSphere H agent for this host has an error. vSphere H agent cannot be installed or configured. vSphere H hosts cannot synchronize host first name 0, 1. I'll click the acknowledge and I'll go for host connection and power state. Acknowledge that too, but it says H agent for this host has an error. It cannot. To solve this problem, reconnect the host to OK, reconnect. I'll go to the ESXi1 here, see this, right click here, and there's a connection here, right? So I'm going to click the connect. Hopefully we have not run out of the 60-day license period. If we are run out, then that's going to be really bad news. If it cannot connect now, it could give an error. Hey, your 60 days are done. Now you cannot use it. I hope that's not the case. So I'm trying to connect the first one. %. And now it's configuring HA as well on that. So it's deploying the HA agent, so HA could communicate with this hypervisor, right? So it's so reconnect is completed, it says, and only HA is being installed, so we're good in terms of ESXi1. I'm going to go for ESXi2 and do the same thing here as well. So I'll right click and go to connection and connect and yes. So I need these 2 guys there, these 2 hypervisors for the distributed switch, obviously. So you can see that ESXi1 is still being deployed with HA high availability agent, and reconnection of E6i2 is done, but the HA agent is also being deployed on E6i2 here. E6i3 is actually not there. We're not using that, so if it's showing error, I'll definitely. I didn't even start it, so that can. Okay, so it says here for ESXi1 that it's a no can do. So cannot install the vCenter storage agent service, unknown installer error. You're a key thing to me. So it's happening here. Well, HA for now is not communicating, but you know, we need to concentrate on understanding what is distributed switch, so we can let this be figured out later as well, as long as it lets us mess with the networking configurations now. So for some reason, HA from vCenter cannot install the agent. I'm going to check one more thing here as a troubleshoot, and that is that I'm going to try to go for lockdown mode and check that if it is not on, and I'll disable the lockdown mode. I think it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
For my second EXI, when I reconnect, they are asking for username and password. But for first EXI, not asking.
Well, if it's asking, you have to give that username password. Hopefully, in the background, it is started, and hopefully the spellings are correct here. So
it would be the root and the password, am I right?
Yes.
Username is root.
Yes.
But I already did put it, but not working.
If it's not working, then you have to restart that E6i2 or wherever that problem is. You need to restart that hypervisor and make sure it is fully up, and then go for the password again. First, try to log in directly from the hypervisor and from the TCUI, and then try this again. Try to add them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, here I'll just go for F2, and I'm just checking the two hypervisors if they have lockdown mode enabled. So I'll disable it if it is enabled. Well, it is disabled. Okay. So I'm sure this is the same here as well in E6i2, that the lockdown mode is disabled. But HA is not able to deploy its agent, so this means that if by any chance the disaster strikes, oh, there's a lockdown mode on here. So I'll just simply, so on E6i2 I find lockdown mode is enabled, so I'll just, oh, it's disabled, serious. Yes, it is disabled as well, so we're good. Here I cannot touch it, so we're good.
So Amir, we should set the lockdown mode is enabled for EXSI 1 and 2, am I right?
No, disable.
Disable?
Yeah.
Oh, for my case, this is enable, maybe.
Yep, so try that and disable it. Okay guys, so let's carry on what we were doing. So I'm going to go back to this diagram. What we were supposed to do is to follow the one by one all the instructions here. So let's get rid of all our other virtual switches. We don't need to get rid of any virtual switches because they are there to connect us to vMotion, to the fault tolerance and management network, VM conductors, and finally vSAN. So we've gone through all those advanced features there. Let's add 2 PNICs. So hopefully we have extra NICs there. We're going to see that now. And then there is, let's move our E6i host to any one data center. That is also done. Our 2 hosts are under Toronto data center. So what we come down to here is the let's create distributed switch, right? So if I go back here, so where do I create the distributed switch? Here. So there is that cylinder that is for storage. Okay, I'll mute everyone. So here there's that storage, right? But there's a globe icon here, this one. So we're going to click that. I'm going to click that globe icon, and in the globe icon obviously you can configure all kind of networking. So if I go to the Tor DC, because all the there are only two hypervisors we have, and those two hypervisors are there. So Tor DC is there, and I'm gonna go for Tor DC, and these are the port groups that are available or that are created there, right? Under Tor DC. I'll right click on the Tor DC. Why? Because I need to go to this area, distributed switch, right? So I'm gonna right click on Tor DC inside the networking section here, and I'm gonna click distributed switch, and then I'm gonna go for new distributed switch. So once that new distributed switch wizard starts here, so it shows D switch here. You can just name it Tor-D switch, or you can just name it anything. So it is Toronto distributed switch, and click next. So it goes for distributed switch 6.5 version. If you want to provide backward compatibility with older versions distributed switch, then you can select those. Otherwise, we're going to stick to 6.5 and click next. So we talked about uplink there, right? So it says that you can create 4 uplinks, which means 4 network cards, and the way we saw in the diagram here, that we can have 2 uplinks there, and through one uplink it can implement all the features. Other one is for redundancy here. So if one uplink has too much traffic, it can be distributed to the second one as well, or it could fail over as well to the second one. So we're gonna stick to 2 uplinks here, right? If I see the slide for the lab steps, so you can see here that let's create a D port group or distributed port group called D-PG-virtual machine. We're gonna create a distributed port group called D-PG-virtual machines, right? What is the purpose of this? To connect the networking of all virtual machines. To connect the networking of all virtual machines. Well, Edis, you can just, well, that's an older lab. You can just create a totally new machine, empty machine, and then try it on that. Okay, so I'm going to come back here. Let's create D-PG-virtual machines. This is the name of the distributed port group. What is the purpose of a port group? To connect virtual machines. So we're going to create a distributed port group on a distribution switch. So I'm going to copy this, or you can just type it, D-PG-virtual machine. You can name it any way you want. So where am I putting that? So when we are creating a distributed switch with 2 uplinks and network IO control is enabled, so we are also creating a distributed port group. Oh man, serious? Where's that? Next week, other than Monday, we will have an exam. Okay, this got copied. So D-PG-virtual machines. Now, what is the purpose of creating a distributed port group called D-PG-virtual machine? So remember that one purpose of creating a distributed switch is that we're going to move the networking of all virtual machines away from the virtual standard switch to distributed switch. So in order to do that, there has to be a distributed port group created there, and that distributed port group will distributed port group. Now this distributed port group, and there will be 2 created there. One is D-PG-virtual machines, and the other would be D-PG- the management network. So 2 very sensitive tasks or critical networking tasks that were done by virtual standard switch. We're going to be moving them away from standard switch to the distributed switch. So management network, that was the name of the VMware port, whose responsibility is to let us remotely connect and manage the hypervisors. So these are the two. So we're creating the first distribution D-PG virtual machines port group, distributed port group. So we could move this feature from standard switch to distributed switch, the networking of all virtual machines. You're going to see that when it's happening. Okay, if I go back here, D-PG, that's virtual machine. So I'm going to click next. And well, that's it. So distributed switch gets created with our distributed port group as well. So I'm going to click finish. Now the distributed switch is created, and it shows here Tor-D switch, right? If you expand that Tor-D switch, so there is D-PG virtual machine, and there is a Tor-D switch DV uplink. So uplink is also there. So all I'm going to say is in the chat, the vCenter is now looking like a single point of failure. Yes, we're just testing every new feature on this vCenter, and that's how we learn. But yes, it should have redundancy also. So we're gonna cover that in 7.0. I'm gonna show you how to do that. If it's a Windows-based vCenter, you need to know failover clustering feature of Windows, and in Linux-based, which we will be deploying. So I'll show you native high availability features there, that you can have two vCenters in two different hypervisors. So yeah, there are all those features there. We're gonna talk about that. Okay, so now here Tor-D switch is created, and if we go down here, you can see D-PG virtual machine. So that's a distributed port group that is also created. But you can also see here Tor-D switch DV uplink. If I click that, then there is a summary here. So normally you go for ports or you go for hosts here, that ports is empty, and hosts. If you go to hosts, it's also not showing anything because we created a distributed switch inside vCenter, but we never connected it to any host till now. So we're going to be doing exactly that. We're going to connecting it with some host, with two hosts actually. So how do we do that? Let's go ahead and we're going to right click on the Tor-D switch that we just created now. Just right click on top of that, and this is the area where we're going to be going a lot. Add and manage hosts, right? Add and manage hosts. So I'm going to click that, add and manage hosts, after right clicking the Tor-D switch. And obviously we need to introduce the hosts first, because on top of the hosts are the virtual machines, and those virtual machines networking the distributed switch will be handling and managing, right? So that's why now we are on this wizard. I'm going to click the add host, which is actually already clicked, and we're going to keep it clicked, add hosts, and click next. Now it says where are the hosts and how many are they? So we'll click the new hosts option here, and I'll click the new host option. So you can see it does see 3 hosts, but one is down and the other 2 are actually up. So I'm just going to select, and these 2 hosts need to be connected or introduced to the distributed switch, so distributed switch could handle its networking centrally. So the 2 hosts are added or checked here. I'm going to press OK here. Now there's that very cool option here, configure identical network settings on multiple hosts. It is called template mode. So next week it could be in the exam, what is a template mode? So good luck in that. So here, what is the purpose of that? Suppose you have actually 200 hosts or maybe 500 hosts here. We have just 2, right? Suppose it's a very big organization and you have 200 hosts or 500 hosts. So in that case, you can click this option. Let's check it out. Let's check this option and I'll show you what it does. But what it does is that whatever configuration you do on any one hypervisor, then it will copy that configuration on all. Suppose there were total 200 hypervisors, so you do some configuration on one hypervisor, first hypervisor, and it will copy that configuration automatically to the rest of the 199 hypervisors. You don't have to go one by one and do that configuration there. So what am I saying? What do I mean by that? I'm just gonna go ahead and show you now. But go ahead and click that configure identical network settings on multiple hosts, and I'm gonna click next. So it's gonna ask that which host's configuration you want as the master configuration or the template host. It also calls it template host. Which host's configuration you want copied to all other hosts. We have just two. We don't even need to use this feature, but I need to show you that. I just wanted to show you that how it works. So I'm going to say that, okay, whatever changes I make on ESXi1 that I'm selecting now, so copy all this configuration to all the other hosts. Suppose we had a lot of hosts. We just have one more. So I'm going to select the first one. Suppose that's the best configured host, and click next. So now this page is asking, hey, what kind of configurations are you doing here? So see this, if I uncheck that, so the diagram here comes and goes, uncheck, check, uncheck, check. So we're not really configuring the VM kernel adapters yet. VM kernel adapters in hypervisors have what? They have configured vMotion, management network service, they have configured vSAN service, fault tolerance, all the advanced features, right? So we're not going to touch those advanced features yet. I'm going to uncheck that. So what are we touching? So we're going for manage physical adapters. So if I uncheck that, you can see now the diagram is showing on the right side. So this means that we're about to do some kind of configuration of the physical adapters of the two hypervisors or two physical hosts. So let's just keep this one clicked and click next. So now there are two windows showing here. First one is ESXi1. Second one is ESXi2. So ESXi1, whatever configuration I do here, then there's a apply to all, and it can just copy whatever I did up there, it can copy down here as well. But what are we doing here? What is this configuration? So remember that I was telling you in the diagram that one uplink will connect to one free network card of each host. So that's what we're about to do now. I'm going to go back here, and do we have in ESXi1, if I go down here, scroll down here, do I have a free NIC available? Oh, I have just one free NIC available. That's not good. Okay. So I'm going to select a free NIC here. I'm going to also see one more thing. What is that? In ESXi2, is that the same NIC free as well? Actually, it has two NICs free. So, but 8 is free there as well. Okay, that's good. So I'm going to select 8 here because that's the only one free for me. And what do I do with this physical NIC of ESXi1 hypervisor? So I'm going to select that, and there's a button called Assign Uplink, where I want to map that uplink of a distributed switch to the free network card of ESXi1. I'm going to click that Assign Uplink here, and it says that, hey, which uplink you want this physical network adapter of ESXi1 hypervisor connected to. So I'm going to keep the uplink 1 selected and press O and K. So the free network card that was at the bottom of this, if I go up now, it shows here that the free physical network card of ESXi1 has been mapped to uplink 1 of the distributed switch called Tor distributed switch, right? Now I want this same thing done to the second hypervisor automatically. If it were 199 more hypervisors, then it would be very good for me. If it's just second one, I could have just done it manually myself, but just to show that how template mode works, I'm going to click apply to all here, although I have just one more hypervisor. I'm going to click apply to all, and you can see that VMNIC 8 of this hypervisor also got connected to uplink 1 of distributed switch. So that's the template feature, but what we essentially did was we connected uplink 1 to one free network card of 2 hypervisors. So uplink 1 is now connected to one free network card of 2 hypervisors, right? Okay. So, you know what? I'll copy all this. And oh, I'm on vSphere series. Okay, I'll just go back here, and we're on this configuration. So let's take a screenshot number 1. Screenshot number 1 here. Screenshot number 1 with your name, obviously. Screenshot uno. Screenshot screenshot 1. So screenshot 1 is that the title of the screenshot is uplink 1 mapped to free NIC of 2 hypervisors. Wow, that's a long one, right? Uplink 1 mapped to the free NIC of 2 hypervisors. Uplink 1 mapped to free NIC of 2 hypervisors. So that's a screenshot. I'm going to take a screenshot, sample screenshot for you. And I'll put it in OneNote. So screenshot 1, uplink 1 mapped to a physical NIC of 2 hypervisors. And I'll put that screenshot sample there as well in WhatsApp screen. So it's uplink 1 mapped to physical NICs of two hosts or 2 hypervisors. Hypervisors. Okay. Well, Mamelo, you can use my screenshot, but you have to show the error of your machine, and then yes, anyone who has who is not here on this page, please show the reason. Like whatever error is coming on your side, just put that there also in today's document, and also then take the screenshot of my screen. So I'll just put back my screen here. So this is the screenshot you can take. Yeah, so if you're facing error at Sham, and just take a screenshot of that, and then just take screenshots. So I need to know why you're taking my screenshots, and then that's it. Then keep taking my screenshots. Okay guys, so now if this screenshot has been taken, or taken version 5, taken 6, okay, no, so it's taken, so I'm going to click next, and that's it. So then click next again. So it says that no impact on the storage connection, which is good news, and click next here, and finito. So the distributed switch, already, are you kidding me? What happened here? SOAP response, alt. Guys, everyone got it, or it's just me? Amir which operation for one or more host members. VDS operation failed to host response. Response fault occurred during host operation. Got vim false. More tasks. Anyone else got this? Hey, anyone was following me? Okay, so that's the error. VDS operation failed, and it says an error occurred during host configuration. Okay, the host joined the vSphere. Yeah, that was done. But this invoke transaction call receive SOAP. Anyone else who did not get that error and was able to connect successfully? And go to the networking again, and 21Switch. I'll go for add and manage hosts. Add hosts, add new host. So I'm giving a demo. Oh, A6i2 is good. It's the A6i1 that is only remaining there. And I'll go next, and I'll try to connect quickly the A6i1. And VMNIC 8, assign uplink. Uplink 1. Next, finito. Otherwise, I'll just take out E6i2, E6i3. So this is the same thing for E6i1. There's a problem with just E6i1. E6i2 is okay. So this means that I can introduce. Thank God I have E6i3 as well. So I'll just quickly shut down E6i1. In fact, power off to save time, which is not recommended. And I'll go for E6i3 and put its RAM back to. So if anyone was following and you're good, then okay, just give me a little time to start the E6i3. 4 GB RAM, that's it. And I have 2 NICs here which are actually connected. So you know what, I'll just add E6i3 2 more NICs just so I could go ahead with the configurations here. I'm just adding a new host because E6i1 is giving me issues, and it can happen to any live network with so many labs done. So we could have some kind of incompatibility as well. 2 NICs are added for E6i3 and 4 GB RAM given. I'm just pressing OK now. Okay, so there's that. What is this showing there? And you're doing update manager. Oh, remediation. You're doing remediation. So the host returns ESX update. The package manager interaction is not successful. Check the update log files and ESX update log files for more. So yeah, if you're doing the update manager, yeah, we were getting that error, and still this needs to be I need to check it out why that error came. Normally it works fine, but it came for everyone. We're going to try that in 7.0 as well if we are able to go that far, or I'll try my best to go that far. But yes, this error is coming. You can just take the screenshot of the error just to upload and show that we're not able to do that. I need to find time to really check it out as well, why the error was there. Oh, okay, Jaswinder says she did not get the error and she was able to create the switch. Wow, that's very good. Congrats. So I've just opened that machine. Thank God this machine is already added to the the Tor DC as well as added to the vCenter. So it's just starting, and I've turned off the A6i1. is 8 o'clock, and well, the environment has gone so big, and so many types of software have been installed on the same machine that it could be any previous configurations that could be in conflict with this configuration. Yeah, I added 2 extra NICs for E6i3 when I was starting. So now 2 NICs were there to be connected to vSAN, and 2 extra NICs are there now. So okay, it's fully started. I hope the vCenter has detected that. Oh yeah, Tunde says confirm lockdown mode in CS3. Very good suggestion here as well. Thank you for that. I'll go for TCUY mode. It's disabled, but that's a good point to check it. Okay, so the vCenter, did it detect it or not? I'm going to go to the hosts and cluster here. So hosts and cluster, and it should. So I'm going to go to 6i3 and I'll try to click the connection if it is. Oh, it is connected. So I'll go for 6i3 and check out what else need to be done. So summary. I'm just going to go for summary. It's talking about the HA configurations. So I'll acknowledge and acknowledge third-party registration, heartbeat directories, suppress. Yes. Okay, update option values, operation field exceeds the maximum number of characters permitted. Okay, anyway, so that's I'll just try to, Tor cluster is trying to go for those settings to deploy the agent, as well as they used to be vSAN machines. So that's why we will see some errors, but I'm going to try to still add it to the that distributed switch. Before that, I'm just going to confirm if it's showing the showing everything, the adapters. Now, actually, I did not add the adapters here. Distribute, that software SAN adapters on switch E6i3. I did not add that, although I don't need that. But I'll just keep the configuration intact or same. I'll just quickly go for adding the 3 ones to this adapter. So I'll just click that. iSCSI. Okay. Oh, it's still okay. So it's giving me a lot of information. Cannot complete a vSphere distributes. Oh, that's the older error for that E6i1. Right. Just VMHB is 64. So it did not add actually my adapter, the controller. Okay, so although it is not needed for distributed switch, and my environment is really, requesting me that please don't do mad scientist experiments on me. I already have a lot of conflicts from previous configurations. So I'll just go ahead and try to add the network cards of this to the distributed switch. So I'll go to the distributed switch area, and I'll just right-click the distributed switch and go to add and manage hosts. And then try to go ahead add host. Anyone who is ready to let me connect remotely to their working environment, then I can just show you the whole lab and explain as well. So I'm just going to try on E6i3 here, and I'll press OK and then click next, and I'll just try to add a physical map of one physical adapter to the. So I have actually 2 available physical adapters. I'm just going to go for VMNIC 3 and assign an uplink to that free adapter. Uplink 1 and OK and next. So there is no ones connected here.
Amir, Can you just go a little bit back again? Select host then.
Did you select host?
Yes, then select the new select host then, new host or something.
No, that's it. Select host. Are you selecting both? Two hosts? Do you have two hosts?
Just back. Just back. One more.
Yeah, only add host.
Okay, I just select host then.
Then next, and then click the two hosts. You know, we won't be able to finish the lab. I think you should follow the video, Acham, because then we'll be very slow then. There are so many others who are not able to follow, but my request would be that it's if you're back and I have to give you all the steps, then better to follow the video. Okay, so but I added two hosts here one by one, and then just click next, and then manage physical adapters, right? And click next here, manage physical adapters. So now here VMNIC 3 has been assigned to uplink 1, and then click next. So what I'm trying to do is get the second or the third host to work, so I could simply try to show you how it works. I'm just gonna click next, and hopefully it works for me first. Okay, it seems like it's completed here. So this means I have two hosts that got added. I need to check if I have the two hosts. Host number 2, the hypervisor 2 and hypervisor 3 are actually connected. If I go to the, yeah. Okay, I thought somebody was talking, so you. So if I go to the Tor, DSwitch or uplink, I see two hosts, E6i2 and E6i3 are there. Although it's giving errors about you know, the HA not being done there. HA sometimes tries and retries. In fact, we have to restart the host and then HA agents get installed. So you will keep seeing that for some time. But it is letting me add two hosts to the distributed switch. I have introduced two hosts to the distributed switch, right? And that's if I go to the slide here. So to create a distributed port group called D-PG- virtual machines, let's add hosts. So we added the host as well. We will be adding two distributed port groups. So what's going on here? You know, I had to go a bit longer way to get my hosts working. So first we attached two of the hosts free network cards to uplink 1. That's the first task we have just done now. Second task is that we need to actually create a distributed port group called management network. We already have a distributed port group called virtual machines. We're going to go for a distributed port group called management network, right? So I'm going to create that second distribution port group. Why are we creating those? Because we need to migrate networking of all VMs to, or attach it to distributed port group virtual machines here, and we need to also migrate this very critical service from standard switch, the management network, to D-PG management network. So in that case, I need to create another port group, distributed port group called D-PG management network, so I could move both services. I'll show you how to move those services from standard switch to distributed port group. Now I'm just gonna go again back here. You can see that I have one port group here, but it is distributed port group. I need to create like this one more, right? So right click here, and I'm going to distributed port group is here, right? This is a distributed port group. I'm going to go for new distributed port group. So it's D-PG- management network, right? So the purpose of this one is to have the management network VM kernel adapter migrated from both hypervisors to this distributed port group, so it could be centrally managed. What does it do? This management network, right now it's not going to do anything. When we migrate it away from the two hypervisors, so it's going to handle our remote connectivity to the two hypervisors. Anything goes wrong while migrating this VM kernel adapter management network, then we won't be able to connect to the two hosts. So everything has to work fine or perfectly, right? So D-PG-management network is written there. I'm going to click next here, and it says here static binding, port binding, or port allocation is elastic. So there are bindings here: dynamic binding, ephemeral binding, or no binding. So basically binding just means that when the virtual machine connects to the port group, so do you want it to be statically connected to the port group or dynamically connected to the port group's ports? Remember that one port group has 128 ports. A virtual machine can statically be binded to one port group of one port of a port group, or it can be dynamically binded to one port of a port group, but it can change that anytime, or maybe change it to another port of a port group. And ephemeral, no binding, anytime it can disconnect, and then it can connect to any other random port as well. So but we're going to stick to static binding. And then there is port allocation, elastic. What is elastic? Elastic means that you can see here, first of all, if I go to fixed, what will it do? See this? If I click the fixed, it shows all the ports that are available in a port group, or in our case, distributed port group. So either you can go for fixed. Suppose I select fixed and I do this 8. What will happen now? This means that only 8 virtual machines can connect to this port group, and this port group is not giving any more ports or not offering any more ports for the virtual machines to connect. But if I change it to elastic, this means that, okay, 8 virtual machines are connected and you have 8 more, so elastically or automatically it's going to provide 8 more ports, then 8 more, then 8 more, then 8 more, until it reaches 128 ports. So you can restrict virtual machines by going to fixed, and only this many machines will connect, whatever number you put there. Or you can keep it elastic, which is the default option. Network resource pool. So network resource pool is what? You can have the CPU and memory, you can reserve that, right? That minimum this much CPU I need, minimum this much memory I need. But here in networking, it also supports resource pooling of network or bandwidth as well. So this much minimum bandwidth I need, and this much maximum I would need all the time. So that is network resource pool. Then there's VLAN, but you can see in the VLAN there's a VLAN trunking, and private VLAN. So only Cisco gurus might know that what is VLAN trunking. If there are 2 switches far away and you have like VLAN 2, VLAN 3 in one switch, and you have VLAN 2, VLAN 3 in another switch, and they are a bit apart away from each other. So VLAN 2 of one switch traffic can be connected to the VLAN 2 traffic of another switch as well. So that is trunking, that it will respect that, oh, you belong to VLAN 2 on that switch? Okay, when you come to this switch, you still can only communicate with VLAN 2 traffic or virtual machines here. So that is trunking, but you can see that DistributedSwitch also supports advanced VLANing or VLAN trunking, VLAN options as well. Then there is a customized default policies configuration. If I click that, so see this, there are just 3 options here, right? If I click that, now you can see there are many more options added. If I uncheck that, back to 3. If I check that, so again, so many options I've added. So this is called customization. So I'm going to check that and then click next. Promiscuous mode, MAC address changes, forced transmits, we talked about that before as well, and they're all on recheck, but you can also put it on accept as well for diagnostic purposes or for load balancing purposes. If I click next here, Then there is traffic shaping, ingress or inbound or incoming traffic, or egress, which is outbound or outgoing traffic. So you want to fix the bandwidth for outgoing traffic. Hey, don't use bandwidth more than 100,000 kilobits per second, or don't use bandwidth more than 100,000 kilobits per second when the traffic is coming from outside to inside. So you can control the traffic, otherwise it is unlimited. So it can reach any height, depends on how much your cables support. So next, and teaming and failover, you now know that there's uplink 1, uplink 2, so they are active uplinks. This means if you connect as another free network card of both hypervisors to uplink 2, so this means that they will be active uplinks. This means they will work together as active, and if one uplink goes down, then the other uplink will take over the traffic of the first uplink and keep the policies centrally being managed from the distributed switch. So you can add more uplinks, but you need to have that many free network cards available on the physical servers, on the physical machines, right? So I'm going to click next here. Yes, keep it active. And NetFlow, if you want to go for NetFlow, it's going to diagnose all your environment, so you can enable it here. Diagnose your environment for if the traffic flow is going fine, if the packets are not dropping, if there are no packet collisions going on, so all that kind of information. So I'm going to click next and keep it disabled or not change anything. Block all ports. You want to block all ports right now? Yes, you can do that centrally as well. No. Next. And then it says, okay, so you're creating a new distributed port group. Do you want to allow something? Do you want to keep it disabled? Even after creation, you can enable any of those advanced features anytime you want, right? So I'm going to click next here as well. So that would be our second screenshot now, which is creating second distributed port group. So this is our second screenshot, creating second distributed port group. So those who have errors or not and are not there, just take my screenshot. So screenshot number 2, creating second distributed port group. Creating second distributed port group. I'll just take a sample screenshot now. Hopefully everyone has taken the screenshot. Creating second distribution port group. So screenshot 2. Yay. Creating second distributed port group. Alright. Screenshot 2. Creating second distributed port group. Alright, so if we go back, hopefully everyone has taken the screenshot and click finito. Oh, cure says break. So okay, 829, 839, 850, or okay, break. Okay, I'll mute and pause the video. Well, after the break, we're going to continue. So what we have done till now was that we connected the two two hosts. We introduced the two hosts to the distributed switch. So distributed switch knows now, okay, so one network card of this host and one network card of this host is connected to my uplink one. That's what the distributed switch knows now, right? So if you go back here, and then there's that Day14 switch there. Now we created also two distributed port groups there, right? We created two distributed port groups. 850. There are some screenshots here. So uplink 1, uplink 2. Uplink 2 is on standby. You can just put that blue arrow up, and it's okay. Even if it's on standby, it's okay. It doesn't matter. Okay. So here, what we need to do next is that we need to actually move the services or migrate the services. What services are we migrating? So we can first go to the most sensitive one, which is the management network VM kernel adapter, right? So this service is responsible for letting us remotely connect to this hypervisors. But if this is moved away from virtual standard switch to the distributed switch, so after that we should still be connected to our two hosts, and well, the migration process does go smooth unless there is an error, which I am not sure if it comes or not. Hopefully not. So, but we're going to move the management network service first away from VSS of both hypervisors to the distributed switch. So I'm going to go back to this, and I'm going to again right click on that Tor distributed switch. I'm going to right click again, right? And then go to add and manage hosts. Why am I going now here again? Because I need to excuse me, I need to move the VM kernel adapter management network service to distributed switch. So I'm going to click that add and manage hosts. So I'm going to click that. It's the familiar diagram or the wizard that we saw already, but now we are done adding hosts. We don't need to select this. We need to manage host networking. So I'm just going to select the second one. This time we're selecting the second one. I'll click next here, and then we still need to attach the hosts. So I'm going to click the two hosts that I have now, 2 and 3. I'll select both and press O and K. And then there is that E6i2, E6i3. Now we can go for that template mode, but this time I'm not going to select that. Well, whether we select it or not, it really doesn't matter a lot. We could do the whole stuff manually as well. So this time I'm not going to select that, but I showed you how it works. So I'll just, two hosts are added, and I'm going to click next. Now what we need to do, so we have already done this part, right? So I'm going to uncheck that. So this was that part, physical adapters. Now I'm going to go for manage VM kernel adapters. So I'll keep it selected, which is this part. So if I uncheck and check and uncheck and check, you can see manage VM kernel adapters. So I'm going to keep only this one selected, and I'm going to click next. So it's saying now that what do you want to do? So there is VMK0 management network, VM kernel adapter. Then there is VMK1, which is a vMotion VM kernel adapter, VMK2, which is fault tolerance VM kernel adapter, excuse me, and VMK3, which is vSAN VM kernel adapter. So we can migrate all 4 of them to the distributed switch, but as per our plan, we can just try to migrate the most sensitive one, which is management network, which helps us remotely connect to the two hypervisors from vCenter. So we're going to move this service away from vSwitch 0 to our distributed switch. So I have to select this VMK0 here, and I'm going to click Assign Port Group, right? So I'm going to click Assign Port Group after selecting the management network. This page opens and it says, oh, so you want to migrate this feature from virtual standard switch to the distributed port group of distributed switch. So we're going to select, and then it's also asking that which distributed port group you want to connect it to. So I'm going to select that D-PG virtual machine, right, this one, and I'm going to press O and K. So you can see now, once you pressed OK, that it is saying reassigned from vSwitch 0, which was the standard switch of a hypervisor, to, in my case, and it has gone to the D-PG virtual machine, which is distributed switch, distributed port group. And I'm going to do the same here for this one as well, because it's E6i3's VMK0 is also on standard switch. I'm going to move that because I did not use the template mode. So I'm going to select that manually, and I'm going to do the same thing, assign port group. For the second hypervisor also, I'm going to migrate its management network VM kernel adapter service to the distributed port group of our distributed switch. So I'm going to select that and press O and K. So you can see that there's VMK0 of E6i3, in my case, have been reassigned to the distributed port group, and VMK0 of E6i2 has been reassigned to distributed port group. So if these two have been reassigned, now I need to click next to check it out if it lets me do that. Excuse me. And then it's analyzing the impact on the storage, because we got LONs connected from software SAN. So it's just checking that will there be any effect on that, impact on that. So there is no impact, which is good news. And then I'm going to click next. So that's how it shows here that the VM kernel adapter, network adapter, management network is being migrated to the distributed switch of two hosts. And I'm going to click Finito. Are you kidding me? Updating connection pair, point pair, increasing DHCP client RP memory, max size DHCP client. What has DHCP client with that to do with that? And what about 2? HXI2. So anyone was successful in that? Oh, so HOM, SAF, Orang, you guys are all successful. No error. That's very good. So I got error on actually both. Oh man. Okay, so looks like my configurations are more screwed up than your configuration. So well, I need to move ahead now, and we need to keep going. So any team viewer connectivity, because either I can troubleshoot, and that's going to be a waste of time, so we can finish that lab. So any team viewer connectivity here, so we could finish the lab. Hey, both got errors. Seriously? That doesn't happen. There you go. Alright, Sean, thank you very much. And that's a very good thing. You got ahead, even though you were seeing some errors there. So that's really amazing. I'll just go to the team viewer and the continue. Okay, so I'll quickly connect there. 472. Oh, I think that I already have 317153, but the password is 29G1R. Alright guys, so thank you Acham for that, and well, so okay, yeah, you can try to open the vCenter and we can continue. Okay, so here we can see that it's completed, and what we were able to do till now was to add that management network feature to the distributed switch, right? And that distributed switch now has that. Now right after the migration is done, try to go to the host and networking there, hosts and clusters section here, and try to check if when you select the hosts here, like 203, which is E6i1, and 200.50, which is E6i2, or other host, that you're able to connect to the summary of that, and you're able to see that if you're able to connect to those hosts, this means that you're good. Then the migration of the critical service, the management network VM kernel adapter, is successful, because if you were disconnected from the vCenter to both the hosts, this means that there would have been something wrong with the management network service. So that's really good that the first type of service have been successfully migrated. This service has been successfully migrated to distributed switch, but we still need to migrate the rest of the service, which is networking of all VMs. So we will just try to go ahead again, and here we are in the vCenter. So what we can do is that we're going to go back to this networking here, right? And then I'm going to right click here, DistributedSwitch switch, and I'm going to go once again to add and manage hosts. Now why am I going again? Because virtual machine networking, how do I control that centrally from our distributed switch? So for that, I'm going to go for manage host networking here, this one, and then I'm going to click next. So here in select hosts, there's a select host to manage their networking on their distributed switch. So obviously I'm going to go for the two hosts again and add them just like the last 2 or 3 times. I will not select template mode and click next. I'll uncheck manage physical adapters, manage VM kernel adapters, and I'm going to check now migrate virtual machine networking. That's the third one here, right? So migrate virtual machine excuse me, networking here. So I'm just going to select the third one now and click next. Now what you see here is the virtual machines that are already there, and if you expand the virtual machines here, expand, right? So what you can see here is that each virtual machine's network adapter, virtual network adapter that is, this is not the physical one, this is a virtual machine network adapter, not the E6i host network adapter. So virtual machine network adapter is connected to VM network, which we know is the default port group name of the vSwitch 0, right? So network adapter is there with VM network, which is the default port group name of the vSwitch 0 of the hypervisor. So obviously what we know is that the virtual machine right now is connected to the local virtual standard switches default port group called VM network. Now we need to migrate this, or we need to change this virtual standard switch port group to the distributed port group of the distributed switch. So how do we do that? You can press the control key on the keyboard and select this adapter as well, and control key, keep it pressed on the keyboard, and then select this adapter as well. We need to move or simply change the port groups, right? We need to change the port group, the virtual standard switch port group to distributed switch, distributed port group. So once we selected all three here, then we're going to click assign port group. So once we click assign port group, now obviously we cannot connect it to the management network, because that's another VM kernel adapter service. So we're going to go for the port group that we, distributed port group that we created already for this purpose, for the virtual machines. So we're going to select that distributed port group. I'm going to select that and press O and K. So now you can see that the virtual machines, virtual network adapters have been migrated from the local standard switches port group to distributed switches distributed port group, all three. So this is if there were 50 or 20 more machines, then you could just select them all and simply migrate them to distributed port group instead of the standard switch port group. So I'm going to click next after selecting. In fact, let's go back. So this is our screenshot number 3, guys. Screenshot number 3 is that migrating the VM NICs to distributed port group. Migrating the VM NICs to distributed port group. So that's our screenshot number 3. Screenshot number 3, migrating the VM port groups, VM NICs to migrating the VM NICs to distributed port group. Migrating the VM NICs to distributed port group. Migrating VM NICs to distributed port group. VM NICs to distributed port group. Alright. Save. I'll just take that screenshot sample one here and minimize my screen and put it here. So that's screenshot 3, migrating VM next to distributed port groups, and the screenshot here, and screenshot 3, migrating the VM mix to distributed port group. Excuse me. Okay, let's get back. Alright, so, well, let's click next, and then we can simply click finito. So this is how we can just migrate. Now we had 3 or 4 or 5 virtual machines, but imagine if you had 10,000 virtual machines or 5,000 virtual machines. So in that case, in one wizard, you can just move their port groups to other distributed switch port groups. Maybe you create later another distributed switch port group, so you can do that for those virtual machines as well. So if we right click this, well, first of all, if we go back to the hosts and clusters, this one, after doing this successfully, if we go to the hosts and clusters here, okay, so it's saying that I'll refresh that whole thing. So I think it's asking us to sign in, sign out, sign in. Okay. So guys, what we're going to check now is that the virtual machines, if we go to one random virtual machine, so we're back here, I'm going to click that hosts and clusters again. I'm going to go to one of the virtual machines here, like suppose it's VM01, and then I need to just check on the right side in the summary or networks actually, virtual machine. Any of the virtual machine, select that and go to the networks on the right side. So now you can see that the virtual machines, virtual NIC is connected to a distributed port group, not to a local virtual standard switch port group. So this is what we can do with the distributed switch, that we can just migrate the services there, and then try to simply this is how we migrate, and then we can check that after that was everything working fine or not. So excuse me, here one more thing, if I go to configure, I have connected to the E6i1 or 200.3 here, and I've clicked configure here, right? So you know what, I'll make it full screen so I could see more of this windows here. And if I go to VM kernel adapters here, so okay, so the vMotion service is configured here, okay, and I'm gonna check the other hypervisor if the vMotion service is configured here as well. So why vMotion? Oh, okay, so other one, vMotion is not working. So guys, those for whom it is vMotion is working, so the best test is that if you can do a vMotion of a virtual machine. Why? Because vMotion totally depends on correct networking, right? So if whatever we migrated has disturbed or misconfigured any of the networking, then you will not be able to vMotion. Otherwise, you will be able to successfully vMotion. If you are able to successfully vMotion a virtual machine from one hypervisor to another, this means that the whole distributed switch migration was successful, and it is still properly configured. It is still working fine after distributed switch. So anyone has tried, anyone who's there already can go ahead and try the vMotion. vMotion means that you can power on the machine and then right click the machine and click the migrate button, and then try to migrate from one host to another. And if it is done successfully, this means that underlying distributed switch configuration is all okay. And if it says that networking has some issue, so underlying distributed switch networking may not be okay. So my machines are giving issues, and the vMotion is not configured on the second hypervisor here as well. But that's I was also in trouble, so obviously the students will be, some of the students are in trouble as well, that of the configuration. So anyone who has vMotion right now, can you do a vMotion and confirm to us that your vMotion is working fine or not? So that would be great, and that would just tell us that the whole distributed switch configuration and then migration of the all the advanced features is also okay. So Saf, Orang, anyone else who was doing that, is your vMotion working fine or is it not? So it does take time. If it's just one-sided vMotion from one host to another, that would be good. Otherwise, normally that's how really we check that if the distribution switch overall performance, the configuration was okay. You just do a vMotion at the end, and vMotion totally depends on the networking. If there is a slight error in the networking, it will not work. And the virtual machine, when it is vMotioning, it's going to use the distributed switch, right? So
Amir, check the picture that I sent. It's okay?
Yeah, the vMotion is there, and so yeah, that's good. But were you able to do vMotion by right-clicking, powering on one machine, and then right-click, and then click migrate from one E6i1 to E6i2 or E6i2 to E6i1? So, but your configuration is okay for the vMotion, right? So, okay, guys, what I would say is that this is what you can do. Go ahead and do the vMotion, and then try to check if it is working. I think people are busy somewhere else. So, well, or maybe vMotion is not working, or there's some issue, or maybe it's just too slow, right? So, anyway, once that is done, what I suggest is that go ahead and try to do a vMotion. Okay, Navdeep confirms that it is working. So vMotion is working. Normally it does work, but thank you for confirming, Navdeep. And so you can just, if vMotion is working, this means all our distributed switch configuration is okay, and underlying network is not misconfigured. It is properly configured, right? So Tunde also says good for me. So that's 2, and that's very good. So thanks for confirming, guys. So the configuration that we did, 2 students are confirming that the vMotion after that configuration is working fine. And so this means that the distributed switch configuration is successful, right? So I know, okay, CFC is working as well. So that's very good. Thank you for 3 students have confirmed that. Okay, guys, so this is what I can show, or this is the lab I have for the distributed switch. It's obviously a big feature, and there can be hundreds of possibilities, hundreds of scenarios for that. So go ahead and play with that at your free time, and go YouTube it, that what else we can do with the distributed switch. But if you have gone this far and it was successful, so that's good that you can configure a distributed switch, and then you were able to do vMotion on top of that kind of networking changes. So that's very good. Oh, Kier also says working fine. So 4 confirmations here. This means our distributed switch configuration is good. Okay, guys, so thank you, Asham, for letting me use your machine, and that's very good that you kept on going and troubleshooted yourself, so that's very good, very, very good. My salute to you. Okay, so I'm just gonna close this because we're gonna go for the next topic, but thank you, Asham, for letting me do that. Okay. All right, so here, okay, you deserve actually +10, right? +10 temperature, that is. But okay, so here, let's go ahead and let's see how we go for the next topic. But yes, I was just kidding. Thank you. So now we need to also check out the next one, which is the 7.1. Now we have 921 here. We can just prepare the environment for the next class, which is the last class. Next class would be the last class of the course, right? So also next week you will have the final quiz, and then hopefully see you in some next course somewhere. So but for a job and for everything, you can just ask for any help, and I'll be there. When you're going for interview, let me know. I'll send you the interview questions as well. Now I was thinking that if we can go for distribution of voucher, or we can prepare the environment now and do that in the next class, distribution of voucher. Okay, so what is the next course and when? Oh, next course. Well, right now there's the Google Cloud going on, so somewhere else. And other than that, I'll be launching again the 3-in-1, 4-in-1, but Office 365. That is very important. I got a project there for Office 365 recently. So it's a big task. Okay, so but that's very important for you to know Exchange Online and Teams Online, and how the authentication really works. So yeah, that Office 365 is very important, and I'll be letting you know when it is starting. So here guys, let's go ahead and we can just prepare the environment for the next lab. And vouchers, obviously it's a long detail as well. You know, we have that much time only for the vouchers, and we can start the whole 7.0 next time. How about that? Okay, since you insist. So here guys, let's go for the voucher. What is a voucher? What am I talking about? So you will be given 70% discount vouchers to give the exam, right? To give the certification. And for that, we need to get the vouchers. Now these vouchers are good for 1 year. So this is on week 1 as well, I mentioned. So what I can do is I can launch that. So first of all, what about the exam? So for the market, for the job market, you really need to give those exams. That's really important to give the exam. Now, and there are so many questions coming, and so many jobs require that you need to be VMware or VCP certified. So there are 2 types of exams there. There's unproctored, which means they don't really check you. You can give this exam anywhere. It is its fee is $120 US, but after 70% discount voucher, it will be just $34 for you, 34 up to 36, and you can use it 6 times. So you can easily fail 5 or 6 times. Try not to fail that many times. But every time when you have to use the voucher again, then you will always again pay $34 or $36. So you have to give 2 exams. One is unproctored, where you can give it anywhere and you can try it 6 times, and it is just $34. And the other one is proctored, which is the professional exam. So this one is foundation exam, and the other one is professional. So it's professional exam, right? So professional exam, obviously you need to give in the test center. Because of the lockdown, you can give it from home as well, but they're very strict about that, and they even check from their camera. They ask you to rotate your camera in the room that nobody else is sitting there. So you can just tell your friends to hide under the bed or something when the camera is rotating, and then sneak out when you're okay. So just kidding. So anyway, if you're caught doing that, you will be banned forever from this exam. And you really need this exam to survive in the job market, to be in the job market. So the second exam is proctored, and that means you need to give it in the test center, and it's $225. Actually, it's $250, but after 75% discount, it will be $76 only. So these 2 vouchers will be there for you for 1 year. So, but don't take that kind of time. There are 3 students who have broken that world record of forgetting to use those vouchers for this much critical exam. They just forgot to use the voucher, and then they just was blaming me. Sir, why didn't you inform me? And I offer that reminder service if you give me $500 per month, I will remind you every month. So if you want the reminder service from me, no problem. Otherwise, they didn't pay that, so I didn't remind them, so they forgot. And that was a very critical opportunity. I mean, you need to give the exam as soon as possible, right? So now so next thing that is complicating the whole process here is that you can no longer give 6.7 exam, right? It's no longer 6.7, it's 7.0 now. Why? 6.7 is expiring 31 December 2020, right? So pretty much timeout. So this exam is 7.0. So 6.7 foundation exam is expired, and now you need to give excuse me, 7.0 exam. Okay, as Sam says, can we give directly second exam without first exam? Yes, there is no sequence. You can give the second exam first and first exam later. But if you need certificate, official certificate from VMware then you need to give both exams, but there's no sequence whichever you can give first, you can give. So 6.7 foundation exam is expired, so this is the same thing. 6.7 foundation, so this goes for both actually, so I'll just write it as separately in the middle, that 6.7 foundation and professional exams are expired, retired, discontinued. Well, you got 10 days if you want to give. Otherwise, 31 December 2020 they are discontinued, and now you need to give 7.0 exam, right? So try not to take that kind of time to prepare, because the knowledge is fresh, hopefully, and so you could just give the exam right away. Excuse me. Okay, so what about, so where are the vouchers? So you will get, each one of you will get a voucher, provided that you can log in from official VMware website. Also, guys, one more thing. Did you create a free account at mylearn.vmware.com? So you need that free account to be created at mylearn.vmware.com, so you could give the foundation exam wherever you want to give. Excuse me. If mylearn.vmware.com is not created, then you won't be able to give the foundation exam, right? So now that said, I would ask you all to connect to the Humber official VMware site for student, where you were seeing the VMware workstation, where you were seeing that books there, e-text, right? So that's where we need to go. Anyone has a link for that? Humber official VMware student site. So you could all log into that with the Humber ID, and then okay, I think this is Learn VMware. No, that's Learning Zone and VMware.com Education Services. So guys, you need to log into the official VMware student site. I think I gave that link here, did I? Oh, there you go. Wow. So thank you, Saif and Manur. So there's that link, and guys, you see that link in the chat, in WebEx chat. You can I'll just copy that there in WhatsApp as well. Please connect to that. So I'm gonna click that link as well, and try to connect to that what I was talking about. Okay, so I'll continue that, and this is a site, Humber College Information Technology Services, and I'll click the sign in, and then sign in from the Humber College site. So you should be all logged in to this site. Everyone's logged in? Yes. Okay, thank you for that reply. Let's go ahead. No. Well, guys, go ahead and log in. You need to do it now. Like NOW. Like now. Now. Because I need to confirm if you got the vouchers, right? Or if you cannot log in, then yeah, you can see the procedures at least. Oh, yep.
So I forget the password. So what should
Yeah,
I
the
do?
password is small ABC, capital ABC. Oh, just kidding. Okay, so hey,
Okay, I will fix it.
password. Like you go to forgot password. I think no, it's your. Isn't it the college ID and password? Or yeah, it is the college ID and password.
So my question is this. So the password, the same password that I do have for Humber College. So okay.
And guys, everyone logged in? Can we suspend VM machines? Yes, go ahead and suspend the VM machines, guys. Go ahead and suspend VM machines. And please log in. Everyone must log in. Or if you're not able to log in, just see the procedure, because I'm still going to request a voucher for everyone. So whenever you get to log in, then you're good, right? So really, my machines are really goners. how did they get misconfigured so bad? Alright, so can you show us how to book the exam? Oh, okay. It is way different than the normal Pearson VUE one. Oh, okay. So, well, the foundation one is tricky. Yes, I'm going to show you. So, are you guys, if everyone or every two or every three have already logged into this, so first let me show you that where do you see the vouchers, right? And you know what, this part I need to pause. I cannot record that. I'm gonna pause, resuming now. So guys, I have already distributed the vouchers to everyone, and I'm just going for the details of the exam. And for unproctored, if anyone has a screenshot, because I actually cannot show mine, I don't have one for me. But what you need to do for unproctored, which is foundation exam, that when you go to that area, which area? See this? When you go to the top right, and then you go to your account orders, and then you will find unproctored and proctored, right? So if you see unproctored there, go to that detail, unproctored, like this. Just go inside. You will find a red alphanumeric characters. So that would be your voucher number. And beside this is a URL. You need to follow that URL. It will take you unproctored. You have to give, see this, unproctored. You have to schedule it from that URL that is on that unproctored page. And it will ask you mylearn.vmware.com free account. When you're registering for foundation, when you're scheduling the foundation exam, it will ask you the free mylearn.vmware.com username password. If you have it, it's gonna let you go ahead, and it will connect you to the Pearson site, and you can schedule the exam. But if you did not create this mylearn.vmware.com free account, then you cannot register the foundation exam. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Because I'm not able to show you because I don't have that voucher there. Okay, and one more very critical thing that I almost forgot. Okay, so Maya has Marmelo refresh. So guys, see this? There is a professional exam showing there. Maya, you have to go for PSE exams. Every one of you, you have to go for PSE exams. What is PSE? PSE, well, I need to check that what it stands for, but PSE means, that's what you need to know actually. PSE equals your voucher was given from an authorized VMware Academy. You all can only give, we all can only give exams with PSE written. For example, if you are looking for this title here, so it should look like this. It actually is showing there that it should end with PSE, right? So written, so you will find it like this without PSE. That is also there. You guys with vouchers cannot give that exam. You guys with voucher need to give the PSE exam. When you're registering for the exam, make sure that the numbers have PSE with it.
Can I share my screen? Because there is nothing like that on the VMware Pearson VUE. Sure.
So you're gonna share your screen? Okay, cool.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
I'll just register the exam for you right now. Good luck.
This one? Can you see my screen? I'm not sure.
Are you showing the screen? Well, I think now. Yeah. Okay.
So where is the PSE? So I already, this is person who, and I entered my credential and everything here. So this is VMware. Well, what I can see is those.
Yeah. So if you keep going down, do you see anywhere? Because they last year I heard that they changed it because I didn't give that exam for some time. I didn't have to. So if you go up a little and you can try to click on top of that exam that you're about to give.
This one? This one?
Yeah. So there's a question there by Sylvester. Yes, you need to give 7.0 after 31 December. Okay.
7.0 or 6.7?
No, 7. No, you wanted to give the exam before 31 December, right? Manu? So yeah, yours is 6.7, but Sylvester on the other side was asking. So after 31 December, guys, it will be 7.0.
Oh, okay.
Do you see PSE written here anywhere? All files or all fields are.
Yeah. Like what I know from the other exams, that if you have a voucher, it's gonna give you when you check out to add the code. Then it's gonna remove the fees from your exam.
No, but did you use the PSE code before, like the voucher of VMware before? No, right?
Voucher of AWS. I never use voucher of VMware. So the voucher and person who, then yeah.
So it's different.
So if I keep next.
Yeah, 7.0 will be available next year. Do you see anywhere BSE?
Let's choose anything. The next. No, there is a date. Okay, any date. Anytime.
Confirm. You know it's gonna start right away. It's not ads or 250. You're going for professional, so it does not show the voucher to put as well.
No, it should be proceed to check out.
Yeah,
accept. There should be a place here for the voucher. Oh, there's none here.
Like maybe it's still the last page when you're. Oh, there it is.
Oh, here is it. Add a voucher and then the voucher.
But no, that would not be. You have to select PSE written at the end of the code. You have to go way back, and from the start, exactly from the start, you have to check that PSE is there, because I did that long time, and then students were just searching and they said, oh yeah,
private access code.
Yeah, try that with PSE written at the end, but don't show it here. Choose to take the exam at home.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? Let me pause that recording. Record that. Resuming now. So guys, can you just go over? Oh yeah, this is IT Academy student PSE exams. This is exactly what you need to. I'm going to take a screenshot of this screen because there's no information about your or you. So I think this is okay to take a screenshot of. So guys, this is the most important one, that you need to select the PSE exam. But let's just go ahead and check that. Are you able to still schedule the exam after that? So please go ahead. Once you select the PSE exams, yes, it is ending with PSE. This is exactly what you need to do. So it's recording as well, so you would also know.
Which one is it? This one?
So yes, the 19. Exactly. 21.19 professional or foundation, whichever you want. Yeah.
No, I mean this is foundation, this is professional. So this one?
Yeah, so professional is.
Okay. And then anything, choose
exactly,
anything.
that is now up
Just
to you
say.
how you want to fill it out.
Okay. But when to put the voucher at the
Yes,
end?
it's going to ask you to put the voucher at the end. Selected appointment overlaps. Well,
Anything, I'm just choosing any, I think.
oops, overlaps. I think you should choose.
It seems he's saving the other one. He's saving the previous trial somewhere.
Yeah, so well, or special time, please select a different appointment.
What did we choose last
So you
time?
can choose 2022.
22,
2022.
Any
Next year.
what? Oh, Okay, here it is. VCC. Okay, so I can remove one, the one that's not PSC. Oh, this is a PSC, so remove this one. I'm gonna take it twice.
And
Okay. And then proceed to check out. Step. Oh, and then the voucher here, right?
so if it's PSE, then that's it. Everything else is okay. Then you can just hide the screen and then put the voucher, and the 250 should turn to 70 or 75 something. And yeah, you can also put the credit card details here. It's good. Just kidding. Okay. So
Sure.
okay. So, well, that's it. Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing that.
Thank
I
you.
recorded that, and so I'll just put it there so everyone could see where to find BSE and which exam to give. Okay, thank you. So guys, any questions you can put on WhatsApp as well, and but I think nobody else is going to give the 6.7 before 31 December. Anyone else? Anyone who's willing, who's trying to go for 6.7 before 31 December? If not, then you have to go for 7.0 exam, and for that, in next class, we're going to talk about the differences between 6.5, 6.7, and 7.0. And I'll try to install if my machines allow me and there's no error. Obviously, you will all be trying, so anyone's installation of 7.0 succeeds, then we're going to check all the differences. So you could give the 7.0 exam after 1st January 2021, right? And add assignment also, Jaswinder. Whoa, I didn't get it. What does that mean? Okay, this channel says 7.0 will be available on the new year. Yes, it will be available on the new year, this channel. Changing, can I choose to take exam at home? Yes, the foundation exam you can take at home. In fact, unproctored is foundation exam. You can take anywhere. And also, professional exam you can also take at home, but you have to connect still to a test center from home. You can take both exams home. For foundation exam or unproctored, you don't have to connect to the test center. You can take it anywhere online. But for proctored, you have to connect to a test center. And that's the main thing. Okay, so if there are any questions, let me know. I hope everyone got the vouchers. Yep.
So Amir, for next class, we should just only download the software, or we just install the software before the class?
No, download only. We're gonna install it together.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. All right, thank you guys. So see you next week, and next week is your final exam as well, and the final class as well. And at least you should be bringing the teacher virtual samosas, right? Just kidding.
Amir, could you activate the upload for this week?
Activate
The screenshots?
Oh yeah, I didn't do that. Ooh. Okay, so let me just do that screenshot thing, and see you next week, guys. But no, upload that first. Be Humber. Okay, so I will just pause.